Like, there's so many videos of girls saying, I'm sick and tired of men feeling like it's okay. And, like, guys at the club are recklessly approaching, right? Especially in cities like this. Like, hey, how are you? Like, hey, how are you? Hey, how... You turn around, there's another girl. Like, it's innocent.
Like, a girl doesn't need to make a lot and can still, you know, have a lot of people who are...
Girls that are in, like, the adult sex industry, like OnlyFans and stuff like that, they have these things called chatters on the back end. So, like, it's like a girl doing content, and they have a... And it's like... What is up, guys? Welcome to the Basani podcast, and today I got my boy Santiago, the Wiz. If you guys have TikTok, you know who he is. I just scroll and I'll see one of his videos, and it's been a while, dude. I've seen your videos for so long, and it's great to finally connect.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of content on dating, relationships. You've basically debated people online.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first off, how did you kind of get into this?
So I was making videos for a while. I've been making YouTube videos for a long time, and then I was making TikTok videos. I was trying to find my thing, and I was doing like essentially what people do on YouTube, which is like more long form editing with a nice camera, and it was taking way too long to do like all of the editing and like, you know, put out a video. You know, on TikTok you need to post like multiple times a day. It's not like YouTube where you could just do it once a week. So I was doing all this extra work, and then my first video I think that I did a reaction to was about a woman who was overweight, and then she was saying how like basically it, you know, like promoting obesity is like good, and I stitched that video and it did really well, and I was like, okay, like that took me 2 minutes to make. I should just do that. I could just make videos in my car and it takes me 2 minutes. And every time I would see a video that, you know, I disagreed with, I would send it to myself, and then I would just make videos on it. And then I guess I must have done a few in a row that obviously had to do with dating. And it became like my thing, because in the beginning I always had to send them to myself. But then, you know, now I get tagged in mostly videos that are about relationships. So it seems like that's the main thing that I do. But I've debated, you know, stuff with the military, you know, stuff with, you know, parents and divorce and, you know, of course, relationship stuff. So I try to do a little bit of everything. But of course, the ones that are getting sent to me now are all dating related. So
if someone had to kind of like identify your message to the world, or like, you know, just to get right into it, is there a general message that you go by? Because there's a lot of people that make relationship content, and I've noticed they're one-sided. They're like, men are terrible, men are trash, they give advice to women, or it's like vice versa, men deserve more. Yours is kind of like mixed.
Mine, I think, and that's what I was trying to explain, is that I think it's very easy when you see content like mine, is they put you in a box, because a lot of these men relationship content creators, they automatically think you're going to be Andrew Tate, or, you know, whoever, like the worst, you know, relationship advice where you're just pandering to men, you're saying a bunch of misogynistic stuff. But, you know, a lot of this is just about accountability. And a big thing for me is like, genuinely, the whole message I'm trying to spread is like, I genuinely believe in just equality for the dating genders. Like, I think there's no specific gender role that I assign, like a man's supposed to be doing this in a relationship, a girl has to do this. If you find it that traditionally that's what fits your relationship, like you like your girl to stay at home and then you provide, and that's what you like, then that's fine. But it drives me insane when I see a lot of these videos that there are girls that to me are putting out a more misogynistic message than most men. Like they're saying, you know, men used to go to war, or why haven't men given up their seat for me, or oh my God, he didn't pay for me on this. Which, listen, if that's your choice, that you don't want to like see a guy after he did that, but when you're basically saying, hey, I deserve to have a seat because I'm a woman, you are. You know, I know it seems like a polite thing. You're separating yourself by gender. You're saying that, you know, I deserve this because of my gender.
You're indirectly objectifying
yourself.
Yeah,
you're basically saying I am, you know, because I'm weaker, you know, I need to be taken care of. And that's my whole point, is that a lot of this stuff is, the videos that I'm stitching are women that, in my opinion, are just contradicting themselves. I follow a lot of liberal women content creators, and then I'm shocked by the videos that they repost that I'm like, that goes completely against what you're preaching about. So it's just, it's really just about equality. I don't really have, you know, a stance that a man should be doing this and a woman should be doing that. It's just, you know, it's about like, there shouldn't be any expectation if it's based off of gender. That's my whole point.
I mean, I get a lot of pushback for a topic that I talk about, like how coffee should be the first date. Like, you shouldn't. I tell guys, like, don't go on the dinner date first. And I talk about it from both aspects, how it's not good for women because you're getting ready for 2 hours. You're going to the date for 2 hours with a guy that you don't even know. The restaurant is loud. The restaurant is noisy. The food might be bad. The service might be this. You're sitting across interrogation style. It's not like an intimate experience with somebody. Yeah. And I always tell guys to do coffee because it's easier. I get a lot of pushback on that. Is there a topic?
I did a video about a girl who, went on this whole rant about how, because Professor Scott Galloway, who's like this professor who does a lot of about the male loneliness epidemic, was saying, for every I think like 200 swipes, he'll get one. He'll get one cup of coffee. CEO? Yeah. And then this girl stitched that video and said, well, maybe it's because you're inviting girls to coffee and this. And here's the thing. When a girl truthfully likes you, you can do anything. You can offer them to do anything. The reality is like, I agree with you in the sense that I don't understand a lot of the reason a guy might even offer something like coffee or something not as intense as a date like to a restaurant is because they are empathizing with you and saying, well, I wouldn't want to be stuck on a date for 3 hours, 2 hours with a guy that I don't even know. Like me, I can only imagine because you can tell in 5 minutes. Like I can tell in 5 minutes if I'm going to be having a good date or not.
100%.
So I can only imagine being stuck on a dinner date at a nice restaurant for hours when I know in 5 minutes, like, hey, this is not what the guy, I didn't expect him to look like this, or he's a little weird. So a lot of times a coffee date to me is like the perfect thing. I would probably do something that's, maybe not necessarily a coffee date, but around that level where it's just not something super intense. It's during the day and it's something that if it's going bad, you can make an excuse to get out of.
It's giving low effort. Yeah. What do you say to that? This is what I get all the time, right?
Well, you have to understand, like, and I've heard the argument, like, at the end of the day, we're strangers, and the objective of the date shouldn't be, how much money is he spending on me, and that's my whole entire point. Is a lot of these girls take it personally because they think you're correlating the value of the date with them. They think if you're spending $7 on a coffee, I think that you're worth $7, which is not true. I don't think that you're worth $7. It's the fact that objectively, if the point of a date is to get to know each other, see if there is, something there. And then on the second or third date, that's completely fine. Like to go on a more expensive date. Cause I heard a lot of the girl that I stitched that said, I would never, you think I'm going to risk my life for a $7 coffee? Cause, saying statistically that it's like men are, more likely to kill her on the date. I go, well, that doesn't make sense. Because if it's really something that you're afraid of, why would a $150 dinner get you excited to go potentially get murdered? If you're scared of being murdered, I don't think a dinner, there's no dinner that's going to make me go risk that. Instead, you should be wanting to do something. Again, coffee dates are during the day. I think they're way more, and the reality is you save yourself time, because if a girl really has a big issue with that, I mean, you're saving yourself a lot of time, because down the road, even if you did take her on a dinner date, you were going to see that issue come up again. It was just going to come up in a different scenario, because somebody like that is always thinking of this relationship transactionally. Like that's how they view it. They don't think this is like, oh, I'm supposed to do this. It's always, well, how much is he spending on me? And then I'll do this. Like
coffee dates are good because you can knock out multiple coffee dates in the week. I go to coffee with like everybody. I don't even like when I talk to a girl or a guy, I'll say, hey, let's grab coffee. And that's just an excuse for like a beverage or like a water. It doesn't necessarily even need to be like, I'm not a coffee drinker per se. Like I'm not a connoisseur in any aspect. But if you just do the dinner dates, which are typically on like a Saturday, you got 50 good dates in a year. And some might overlap. It's just not effective. And the big thing is, I think a lot of women think that coffee dates are low effort, and I think that's exactly why you should go on them, because you should be low effort in the beginning, because you shouldn't be making extreme efforts. They want to be low effort themselves, but they want a guy to be like absolutely massive. Let me wine and dine you. And the other thing is too, we're in Miami. People got money here. $150 dinner or a $300 dinner for some guys means nothing. For some people, for like the dude that doesn't make as much, taking you to a nice dinner means a lot to him. And for the dude that doesn't, like, he's retired, he's whatever, he makes a ton of money, a $300 date means nothing. So it's like, in his mind, in logic, wouldn't you want the guy that values it more? But girls
and correct that, and that's why you see all these girls complaining that they meet these terribly low quality men, like they cheat all the time. This is because you're valuing the wrong things. You're valuing the monetary value of the date. And to a rich guy, like you said, you think he cares about spending $200, $300 on a date? They don't care and stuff. And then you're going to go out there, you're going to have a terrible date, or just put yourself in an uncomfortable situation because he's spending a lot of money on you. And then the guy you probably would have had a better time with, listen. I think it's very weird that like girls seem to lack empathy about, today's financial market when it comes to, dating. Like I see videos all the time of, let's say a single mother crying about how like, oh my God, the groceries are so expensive, this. And then like they have no empathy when it comes to a guy that's like, hey, I would really like to get to know you, but maybe we should just go on a coffee date first, this. Like they forget that like the average guy, luckily we live in Miami and obviously we do well, but the average guy, is not going to be able to go on multiple like big dates a week.
So does the average guy have a chance anymore? Like
I think he does, but I think what's happening is you have to understand what makes yourself valuable on both sides. Like what makes a guy valuable in the dating market is not going to is not parallel. It's not going to correlate to a girl and vice versa. So like you at the end of the day, you have to do what you can. Like, obviously.
What are the differences there, if you don't want me to ask? Because there's general overlaps. Looking good is good for both.
Yeah.
I would say it's more important for women.
Yeah.
Because men are more lustful.
And stuff. Yeah. And here's the thing. Men seem to be, have a lot more leeway with who they're willing to sleep with. But when it comes to actually long-term dating, that's when men get pickier and girls do the opposite. They're
Correct.
Typically, a little bit more cautious when it comes to who they sleep with. But then they'll give the medium ugly guy a chance, for long-term dating. So it's the fact that as a guy, you have to understand like one of the main things, that's going to make you attractive is obviously like taking care of yourself physically, obviously, having a good job or just having something like interesting, having a genuine hobby and not just being like somebody. I meet a lot of guys where like they're like, as mean as it might sound, they're just very boring, generic people. They don't do a lot of things. So then because of that, and you have to understand girls are in higher demand than men. So at the end of the day, like, a girl who is, let's say, more average looking can be. A lot of times we see these videos of these girls, who seem very, very confident, and they're getting made fun of in the comments for being delusional. But a lot of times, I don't even think the girl's being delusional. I believe a lot of men are sexually undisciplined, and then they give these girls who, in reality, if they had a plethora of options, they give these girls a lot of attention, and then these girls are completely delusional to what they can actually get for like long-term dating, because I believe that a lot of these girls are getting attention.
It's hard I talk to like a lot of women, and I coach a lot of women in dating, and young girls are very hard to coach, not because they don't want success, but they get bombarded by social media. Has created like a world where, hey, I'm gonna fly you out, I'm gonna do this. Like guys exaggerate, they lie, they boast, they stretch the truth. They say, I got 10 Rolls Royces, I got my jet, let me do that. Like guys will lie about crazy things, and I see girls send me stuff, and it's wild, and they get so much attention because they try to stand out, and the more that they can stand out, the higher chance they have of getting a response from her. So some of these first DMs that guys send are wild, and they build the ego. And when you're an attractive girl, see, the logic is so like guys see a girl with under 1,000 followers, they're like, oh, she's a good girl. But those are the girls that get the most DMs.
Yeah.
And 30, 40 DMs every week from guys trying to take you out. Dude, it
gets to your head. That's why I really don't think, and I've met guys that I don't even think they're aware of it, where they'll tell me like, oh bro, like, yeah, dude, I'm not even focused on girls right now. And then I'll see they have like they're swiping up on every girl's story, being like, hey, like what's your ethnicity? Oh my, like, and like they can't, like, for me it is so rare, and I don't mean it in like an arrogant way, like I will message somebody first because I know exactly that. I know that the ball is always in the girl's court, where she knows like if she wanted to, she could reach out, because the message that we've gotten is like, hey, like wait for a clear sign. That's what I'm waiting for. So like, to me, a lot of these girls who do get approached, I think the reason why they have a lot of bad experiences is because the men that are approaching them approach everybody and stuff, and they're not socially aware, because a lot of the men who have checked out are kind of listening to the message that women have said. They're saying like, hey, we don't want to be spoken to and stuff. So then the men who are like, oh, I don't care about that. Those men don't, they're not socially aware. They don't care that you're uncomfortable. And then those girls keep getting approached by those men. They have bad experiences and it's a vicious cycle. Then they think that's how all men are. And then there's no way to reflect and be like, oh, like, that's just because of the men who I keep letting approach me. Like, you keep giving your numbers out to men who, ask for an Instagram at the gym every single day. Like I don't know who you think you're going to get. Maybe that quiet guy who's nervous about approaching you probably would have been the better option.
I always say that the best guys to date for women, like women always ask me like, who are the good guys to date? Like the guy that like doesn't necessarily want to date, but he doesn't want to date because he's so busy. Those are the best guys in my opinion. Not the ones that want to be a bachelor, but they've got a lot of things going on. They're passionate. They're limited on their time. If you can catch a guy that's like achieving his passions and his dreams, like if you can grab the bandwagon early, like if you can jump on and be opportunistic, it's probably the best guy to get. You
need somebody in general for men and women, like who has hobbies outside their relationship, because that's how you see these people who are serial daters, where it's just one relationship after another, is they don't have something that like they really have fulfillment in, and they're just getting that through other people and relationships, the drama that it brings. And that in the beginning it's very new, it's very exciting, and fun. They crave that, like they crave it like a drug. Like, so a lot of these people, they keep getting into these horrible toxic relationships because it's new and it's exciting and stuff. But in reality, having a genuine hobby, I'm telling you, because that's really what I could tell made my relationships a lot healthier, was when I got into the kickboxing stuff and all this stuff, was having just something that even if the girl that metaphorically I was talking to, everything went south, I always had something at the end of the day that I enjoyed. And that's what you need. It's somebody who just goes out all the time. I'm telling you, it's very empty.
I think MMA is the best hobby. Personally, it's physical discipline, workout. It replaces your workout on a high level. Plus, we train on like lifting weights, stuff like that. It de-stresses your mind because you're getting your energy out. And a lot of girls like it. It's attractive to women. Yeah. I think that all guys should have that discipline. But let me ask you this. How has dating changed the last 10 years? Do you think that social media has made it change, or is it the same thing? Yeah, it's definitely changed because of the fact, I think, like I said, we have this view of endless amounts of options. Even me personally, like for a long time, like I would be so apprehensive about dating because, I would always feel like, oh, well, I wanted a girl who looked like this, and maybe I could find that. And I would always, and in reality, yes, some people get like literally the picture perfect example of what they want, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like sometimes you have to be taken into consideration that not everyone's going to be like literally perfect. So like maybe you wanted this and you're going to get somebody who checks like 99 out of the 100 boxes, but then a lot of people keep chasing that one box that the person didn't check, and then they're left with another 40. Women are like, there was a survey that was done, like if a man has 80% of what you want, would you take him? And like the majority of women were like, no. And there's men that were like, if a woman has 80% of what you want, would you take her? Like most of them were like, yes. So you think women are pickier?
For sure, and that's been statistically proven too, that women are more sexually selective than men. But
do you think they're getting more picky or less?
And that's because the market's in their favor. The same way, think of it in like a business perspective. If we just had, let's say we sold, a metaphorical product where we just had people constantly banging at our door, we could be more selective about who we want to give the product to.
Correct.
And stuff. So even though in the beginning when we started up this metaphorical company, we were just handing it out to whoever, whoever wanted to buy it. Now it's like, no, we only want these types of people to be wearing our product. Like, it's the same thing. Like they can be pickier because, like I said, at the end of the day now, like, it's really, to be honest, I think what really needs to change is if men really wanted to see change, then they have to, which I don't think a lot of men could do, they have to go, essentially, without women for a very long time.
You think that isolation's good, like for a long period of time?
I think you have to learn to just, not not think about it anymore. I'm stuff like, and you have to let go of the fact, because the reason why I think this is never going to get resolved is like there's just too many men who are like so sexually deprived that they like literally can't, they can't even, like some of them will get a quality girl and then they cheat, and stuff. And a lot of men, even they've said they cheat solely because they just could have and stuff. It wasn't even like there was like anything special about the girl, but so many guys are not even used to being approached or having a girl, you know, really interested in them. When it does happen, they they cave immediately.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of guys are sexually undisciplined. I mean, being here in Miami, it's hard to find like people like you, for example, that don't go out, don't party, don't drink every day, are not doing stuff. They're very focused. You have a very structured life. Like you're like work to
well, and then that's because too, like I'm sober now for 6 years, but I used to go out like all the time. I was the polar opposite 5 years ago. I went out all the time.
And I see that as a trend with a lot of guys that are like, I've never had a situation. Well, I used to be a promoter, a nightclub promoter back in the day.
Yeah.
But I never had like a problem with going out or anything like that. Not saying that you do. I don't even know.
It wasn't that I had a problem with going out, but I just remembered I hit a point where I was like, again, looking back at it and now being from an outside perspective, I think, like I said, and you know, if you were to ask me at the time, I probably would have been like, oh, absolutely not. It's a coping mechanism because you don't feel a sense of direction and you feel so powerful and great in that environment. I see a lot of girls too, like I could tell, like they look forward to that Friday night that they get to go out because they feel so powerful in that environment.
Their attention.
And I'm telling you, and I just remember like every time, and it'd be the same. Dude, me and my friends, we would do the same thing every single weekend, and we'd act like it was going to be such a different experience. Be like, oh, this is going to be a movie.
You had to be there,
oh
bro.
my God, like. And then it was the same thing every single time. And then the reality is, like, once I found something that actually brought me like genuine, like natural happiness, like I didn't crave it anymore. And I could tell, and I knew, I said, if I don't figure something out, like I could see my future. I was like, right now I could get away with it because I'm 22 years old. But I was like, if I keep doing this, like I was looking at people that I thought so highly of who never got out of that phase, and they were older than me. Yeah. And how their life just went 100%. Downhill.
I would look at guys around the club that were 30, like 35, they'd be spending money, and I would be like, dude, I want to be him. I want to, because okay, look, back when I was younger as a promoter, I was plugged into the club, so I had access to women, and I was like doing stuff, but I couldn't pin those top level girls. Like, there's a lot of girls that I couldn't get. There's a lot of girls that I didn't think I could get that I did get. And sometimes I would have a great conversation with a girl. Everything would be wonderful. She'd go home with a dude that was 32 years old that drove a nice car. Like, why? And I'm like, I need to be that guy. But now, 30, dude, I never... Like, it's not fun.
And here's the thing. I don't mind. Like, there's things that I like to do, but I genuinely lost the fulfillment that I like, or whatever desire I had to go out. And now those environments makes me very anxious. Like, I get very anxious. And a lot of the times I would do, you know, I would drink or do any drugs was solely because of how anxious I was. And it would make me feel, you know, either less anxious or just completely, you know, out of it. So then that made me feel better. But like, I never really, like, I was always very... I knew that if I didn't figure something out, like, you know, that I was like, this is going to be a very like sad.
How did you taper off that? Like, a lot of people struggle with this. They have FOMO. They want to keep going out, and like, dude, there's like 35-year-old girls here. Like, they can do whatever they want. You want to go out, go out. But there's girls that go out every single day. Like, in Miami, you can do that here. Like, it's a thing. And I'm like, is it wrong? Is it right?
And that's the thing. If they obviously they're not hurting anybody, but at the end of the day, there does come a point that, you know, you are in some sense hurting yourself a little bit because statistically speaking, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're going to meet lower quality people when you go out.
In the club, you think
so?
so?
Yeah, I think you it's less likely because for me personally, like I would never, or I would say 99% sure I would never want to be with a girl who drinks, you know, heavily and stuff, who goes out like heavily. It's just not saying that it's a bad thing, but it doesn't fit at all with like the things that I like. I like to do and stuff. But like, I wouldn't want to do that. So then me, like, why would I go out to a club to do that? So I guess if a girl values that, but the reality is men who go out to clubs, they're most likely going to cheat at a higher rate. So then girls will do these things where they to me, or girls and guys will date, to me, some of the most statistically obvious people who are going to be bad partners. And then what happens? And then it goes wrong. And then they blame all men or this. Yeah. And it's like, well, dude, the guy was the bouncer at a club, you know, like, I don't know what to do. Or a guy will complain to me about how his girl cheated on him. And she was the bottle service girl at the place that he met her at. I'm like, I'm not trying to hate, but I'm just saying you have to, dude, relationships take a lot of energy out of you, and they can go on for very long. You have to read very deep into small things that are going to predict long term.
What do you say for the girls? Okay, so there's so many girls that hit me up for dating advice, right? And I'm gonna like be them for a second towards you, right? Because I want to hear your take on this.
Yeah.
How do I meet guys then? Like, I'm being told to go out.
I would say you don't have to necessarily. I think a lot of girls feel a sense of insecurity about approaching or being the one to make the first move. But I would say,
I'm never going to approach a guy.
And stuff. I would say you don't have to necessarily approach and stuff. Don't think of it as approaching. A lot of guys just don't think you want to talk to them, especially if you're trying to meet a quality guy. They don't want to bother you. You could do something as simple as literally just like
saying hi.
Yeah,
literally,
just be like,
literally that's it.
Hey, like, hey, do you go to the school? Or like, I'm pretty sure I saw you at the gym. Or just say something and then walk away.
Yeah.
And stuff. Literally, that's it. I'm telling you, that will go a long way. You don't even have to ask for anything. If the guy doesn't come up to you after that, then probably he isn't interested in you. But if you just said something, the guy most likely is either going to continue the conversation or come up to you later and say something. And stuff. You don't even have to ask for anything. A lot of guys, it's not that they're not approaching you because they don't like you.
They're doing it because they're respecting you.
Literally, and that's the thing. And then they keep saying like, where's the real men who approach? And I'm not saying every guy who approaches is a bad person, but I'm just saying a lot of the guys who are approaching are the opposite. They don't care about if they're bothering you.
There's a lot of women that like will literally dog a guy for approaching her. Like, I'm literally working out. What is wrong with me? I'm at the grocery store by myself. Don't talk to me. Like, there's so many videos of girls saying, I am sick and tired of men feeling like it's okay. And like, as a guy that's approached a lot of women, I've definitely gotten both sides of it. I've gotten girls that are very receptive to talk to me. I've gotten girls that are like you're fucking weird for approaching me. Like, why would you even think that's okay? And it's like such a different universe. And it's all based on emotion and all based on how your day is going. And it's like, you're in a relationship, great. You know, you should be grateful that I don't want to say grateful. That's a harsh word, but at the same time, I'll say it. You should be happy that a guy's approaching you because it means that you're beautiful. It means that you're attractive. And it means that your man got something that is of value. But some girls take it a step too far. And I think that's why guys just I don't even recommend guys to go up and say, hey, you're beautiful. Like, it's a bad...
Yeah, definitely don't start off with something appearance related. I would literally, like, to me, I'm not a big approacher and stuff, and it's not because I think I'm so much better than anybody. It's because every guy's biggest fear is being called a creep or something like that. So I'm just not. I normally need some type of something from the girl first to show that she wants me, but to even go and talk to her. But I'm just saying, if you were... the only time I'd feel comfortable is if I had a genuine thing that I actually could ask her about. Like, let's say she was wearing like a bracelet from a concert that I went to. Hey, did you go to that concert? But I could never just walk up and be like, oh my God, cause it's so generic. It's not like and stuff. And like I said, I mean, a lot of the girls who come off, I think, very angry. It's because they've had a few bad experiences from men who they put you in a box and then they see you approaching them and they think you're going to be just like that other guy.
Girls should not go to the club, is what you're saying.
It's not that they shouldn't. That's the thing. If you enjoy going to a club, just keep in mind then the guy that you most likely meet is going to be a guy that goes to a club. And if you think that's something that you don't mind in your partner, then that's fine, because like at the end of the day, like, you want to have things in common with your partner. So, you know, if you like going to clubs, then I guess it makes sense that you'd want your boyfriend to enjoy going to clubs. But the reality is, I'm just saying, statistically speaking, you know, the personality types that enjoy going to clubs also are more likely to have long-term relationship issues.
I think I'm going to give you a take that I get a lot of negative feedback for, but it worked for me, and it's like a weird piece of dating advice. If you're a guy and you want to meet a lot of women, go to the club and become friends with a lot of the girls there, because those girls know everybody. You go to the club and you just become friends with girls. It's different. Like, as guys at the club are recklessly approaching, right? Especially in cities like this. Like, hey, how are you? Like, hey, how are you? Hey, how? You turn around, there's another girl. Like, in a second, there's a bunch of girls or tourists. They're in town. You'll never see them again. So it's like a dream for a guy that's not afraid to approach and wants to convert for the night. But if you're looking for a relationship, I would always say, just become friends with a girl. Say, hey, look, not trying to hit on you or anything. I love the way you carry yourself. We should grab coffee sometime. You seem like a cool person. Whatever. What's your IG? Something simple. Yeah. Disarm her first. Hey, I'm not hitting on you or anything like that. I just love your shoes. Are you from here? Cool. I don't really know a lot of people. Would love to be friends. If you get to know her as a friend, okay, She's got a sister. She's got a coworker.
And I think it teaches you too about approaching without any like fear of rejection, because you're not coming there.
Yep.
Like with the intent of trying to sleep with her, which is I think what most dudes are coming there like hoping, oh my God, like, so it takes off a little bit of pressure just being like, listen, I'm just trying to just work on saying words to this person. I think the only time I would be willing, the one time I was willing to, I think was when I went through a breakup, and then I was like, well, nothing could be worse than the feeling of the breakup. So then I was more willing to approach. But then, like I said, like once like you realize, like, again, and for me personally, my values just didn't align with anybody who was out. So I thought it was always like a pointless to go and approach anybody, because I'm like, what's, all I'm doing is wasting their time, because I'm gonna have an issue with them going out and I met them at a bar. Yeah, I'm gonna look like the crazy one.
It's like talking to a girl that, let's say, bottle service. And I want to get into this in a second, but like, let's say you don't want a girl that dances. Okay?
Yeah.
And you want to talk to her. Because what's going to happen is like 2 months in, you're like, you're going to have to quit. You have to quit this job.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable, because the honeymoon phase is going to die down, and then you're going to have a problem with it. And the same way you get her is low-key the same way you lose her. I always say this. So she's out doing this. You're attracted to her. It's probably, you're creating more of an opportunity for her to be in other relationships. But I wanted to ask you, let me start with the girls first. What are some standards that women should have for relationships nowadays?
I think it's fair to say,
generalistically,
I would say your standards should be equal to the type of work that you put in yourself. In my personal opinion, there's nothing wrong with a girl even asking for a man to make good money. But then
that's a great answer, by the way.
But then she should also be relatively successful. I think what drives me insane, which I've seen girls who I know personally. Yeah. I've seen girls who I know are in massive credit card debt, and they're reposting videos about how they're, I need a man that makes this and he should be taking care of me. I'm like, you're not even like, you're in $20,000 of credit card debt. Like, you can't be asking for these things. I saw a video of a girl talking about how she would never date a guy outside of her educational and like income bracket. And she gave a very good take, and it was because like, and it's true, like she's like, I want to see that you've been trying to put yourself in the same boxes and circles that I have. It doesn't make sense. Like I said, when I see these videos of girls saying, well, a man should be doing this and making this, I mean, again, like imagine the reverse of that, of a guy coming online saying, oh, my girl better have kids, she better be staying at home cooking. We'd be like, whoa, what is this guy saying and stuff. Of course, some girls would love that job, and some guys don't mind that. But I'm just saying, like I said, what you should be asking for is what you are equally able to do. Like, a lot of the times, like, it just doesn't sound like, and girls will call you like sassy and gay for saying like, oh yeah, like, well, what are you gonna do if I do this?
Let me double down on, like, let me talk about that, because there's girls that are servers, and like I know girls like that talk to millionaires. And one thing I'll say is that if a girl hooks up with a guy, she like indirectly believes that's her new standard.
Yeah.
Even though the guys may not be looking for a relationship, they look at that as their new relationship standard. So I talk about this, like a girl could hook up with an athlete and he may make $10 million a year, hypothetically. That's her new standard of man.
Yeah.
This is a guy I got. He wanted me. He chose me. He said he liked me, whatever he might have said, for the night. He wasn't looking for a relationship. He was just looking for a one-time thing, or he's just looking for something consistent. A lot of guys don't just cut women off after they're done. They keep them around. Yeah. They lead them on. And so like a lot of girls get like really caught up in that. But what I want to talk about is there are a lot of women, like when I coach women too about dating, for a girl to meet a millionaire, they always say this, okay, I want to meet a really successful guy. My first take isn't, I agree with your answer. You should be dating someone that is the same quality of person that you are. The work that you put in yourself and the standards that you have for yourself are the standards that you should have for other people as well. That's a really good, That's a really good answer. But I do see women get away with it, and I tell girls, like, focus on your looks, focus on your presentability, because a guy that has money doesn't necessarily need money.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, what would you say about that?
I would say, and here's the thing: is there are guys I know who are millionaires who would take a girl that is a server and go and marry her. But here's the thing: is a lot of the guys who do that kind of stuff, it's an unspoken trade-off. They won't say it, but it's to me a transactional exchange. Normally, those guys, as much as they're very wealthy, they don't really get that many girls. Okay. And then it's a transactional thing that's unspoken where the girl says, listen, like, I'll provide you with company because you're very lonely. and you provide me with the lifestyle. It's never really discussed, but like it's mutually understood and stuff. There are some cases where the guy actually happens to have a decent amount of selection and the girl, but like a lot of the times a guy who's so quick to go and like, you know, I don't know, go marry like the server or something like that, that really is not, to me, it's not really an equal exchange. Again, you're marrying somebody who I think is very easily like impressed and stuff, and I think that's, like you said, what starts a relationship also will end. I think for the first couple years maybe he's very entertained by you, and then I think that could be the same thing that causes the divorce, because then I think once he's used to it, same thing's going to happen for some new server.
So if a girl wants to meet a successful guy, like, let's just pretend that's what she wants. I'm not debating it. This is what I want. You're not going to change my mind. Okay, whatever. And your job is to help her get this guy. What would be your advice to her?
I would say you obviously have to hang out in circles and figure out ways to make yourself in a circle where successful people are at. And then, you know, you have to be, in some sense, you have to, like you said, a man who's a multimillionaire, he doesn't need money. Okay. So you have to find ways, to make yourself valuable to him. That doesn't have to do it, you know, doesn't have to do with money. So a lot of these guys, they really are just looking for somebody who's soft and, you know, well-spoken and respectful and stuff. Like that's what they're most of the time looking for. It's very individual to obviously the metaphorical millionaire in the situation, but like it's one of those things where you have to make yourself useful to them. You have to see what they're lacking in their life and then say, well, I could do that part and stuff. So whatever that is for them, but it's one of those things where you have to put yourself in a circle where there's a lot of successful people. And most of the time, and even statistically speaking, most millionaires also date other millionaires and stuff, even men.
Yes. And one thing I will say for everybody listening to this, billionaires, especially people that are ultra wealthy, almost every time. I got a good friend of mine. He's a young guy, billionaire family. He wants a billionaire family girl.
Yeah.
He wants to marry into a wealthy family because, not even because he's like worried about her taking his money. It's just like something that he wants for the legacy, and he wants to double down on what made his family powerful. And something I noticed with really wealthy girls, they don't want to date guys that don't make money, and also guys that have a lot of money. You would think by what I just said, I think like once you get like the $300,000, $400,000 range, those guys are not concerned with income, because there's like a happiness that you get when you start just first making money. But once you get to certain levels of money, then you realize that money is like an energy, and you make money based off how you are as a person.
And exactly what you said is that people I think who make a lot of money. Me personally, I can only imagine. If I was to make millions of dollars per year and stuff, I would, like I said, I want the girl, one of the most attractive qualities for me in the girl is like ambition level and work ethic. I don't want a stay-at-home mom or anything like that. I don't even know if I want kids and stuff, but like that doesn't provide value to me. There's plenty of guys who are the complete opposite. They want you at home and you're definitely having kids and all this stuff. But my whole point is, you know, me personally, like if I was a multi-millionaire, I would be, you know, especially if you really built it yourself, a part of me would be like, damn, like I've really improved this girl's life, and what has she really done for me? If like if it was really like that, I would want a girl who I feel this mutual thing where I've improved her life and she's improved mine.
It just comes down to the value that she's bringing you. So some guys want a girl that, like for me, I'll tell you personally, like if a girl can take care of things for me at the house, do my laundry, basic stuff, help me clean, help me organize. It's not because I believe in those traditional values. It's just that that's a hole in my life right now. That is like an area of my life that like I would probably need. And if I had like that's why like a lot of the girls I look for, it's not even like, oh, I need you to cook, do laundry, this, that, and third. I just need you to help me optimize. There's also things like if you can organize my schedule, if you can handle certain meetings for me, which are not like traditional, those are also things that I value.
And that's what I'm saying is it's individual to you because you need those things. And that's what I'm saying is, in my personal opinion, especially if you were, you know, letting her live here and all this stuff rent free. I mean, that's a reasonable request. That's my whole point is that like at what point is just asking for, you know, a level of reciprocation, which even that is, it's still technically a very uneven exchange in the sense that, you know, financially you're still doing a lot more than imagine how much it would have costed you just to have somebody come clean the place. Like my point here is,
you're
like
100% right. Rent, this amount of rent does not equal, oh, but like I make the house a home. It's like, dude, that does not equate in any way.
And then when you bring this up, like a lot of people, like
a lot of girls hate it.
For example, like I always thought it was very funny that, like, for example, okay, you know, let's say in the traditional relationship, I always thought this was so strange that girls will sit there and, you know, let's say the man, he pays for all the bills. There shouldn't be, you know, with their logic, there shouldn't be a single bill that this woman touches, and then she's supposed to be the one that takes care of the kids. But if he doesn't help with the kids at least like 10 to 15%, he's looked at as like a bad father. But if he asked for 10 to 15% of financial contribution, that's like, no, that's your role. So it's like that's what doesn't make sense to me, is that especially right now, like, you know, 30, 40 years ago, I think it was a little bit more doable. But right now, you got to keep in mind, like I said, I know we're in South Florida and we forget, but I'm just saying the average, you got to think of the guy that lives in Mobile, Alabama and stuff. It is not feasible to sit there and say that he's supposed to be paying for, you know, this woman and then metaphorical children in a state that the average income is $35,000 a year. And then to shame him and make it seem like it's his fault and not the fact that, you know, groceries are, you know, $200 for eggs. Like it's such a shift of accountability, because like I said, when we see these videos of women coming on here crying, or a family coming on here crying about how expensive things are, and they work, you know, 60 hours a week and they're still like not. We have so much empathy, but then when it's a man being like, well, I can't, you know, come on, like, get a job, like, you know, I'm working 70 hours a week, they lose all empathy. They're like, well, work harder, you know, get more hours.
My philosophy is a little bit different than you in one way. Well, you're fighting the good fight, because you create very logical breakdowns of this does not make sense. And I agree with you 100%. I don't want to say I've given up, but women will never lower their standards from what I see. And the smart ones, it's not even lowering their standards. They just look at things differently. But like, you tell a lot of girls this stuff, they'll hear it. It makes complete sense. It's all checked off on paper. The statistics back it up. They still don't care.
What I've noticed is that they won't, when you don't have a real human being in front of you that you respect. Like, even from me, like, if the girl does not respect me or like me and stuff, let's say it was just a random girl who was here on the podcast, like, she's not gonna most likely, you know, agree and stuff. She's going to sit there and probably say stuff. But in reality, I guarantee you, she built, let's say, a relationship. She started to really like some guy that she met at the bar. And then eventually, after like a couple months, he breaks the news. Hey, listen, like, I'm having some financial issues. I'm trying to, you know.
I think a lot of girls would help.
I think all of a sudden it would change and stuff. Because I'm telling you, I've seen girls in real life who I see their repost on TikTok. The way they post and repost, they present like they have a lot more confidence and high standards than they actually do, because they'll sit there reposting stuff about how I'm not settling for a guy under 6'4", this, and then they're DMing me, and it's like
and look at your history of dating. Like, girls will say, I don't date bums, I don't date losers. I look at their guys that they're hooking up with. I'm like, yo, like, I'm not trying to be harsh, but like, some of the guys you're with are losers.
I don't know if you remember that trend. It was like things my ex-boyfriend did that I thought was normal, and then it's just like list of just them being disrespected, and then it's like, how did you think that was normal? But because they liked the person, everything went out the window. I think girls say that when they don't have a person in their brain, but in real life, when they actually have somebody,
once the emotions go, it's like everything can be thrown out the window. You could be abusive and they'll still stay with you, and you could do X, Y, and Z, and there's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, I think that what I was saying earlier too, I've started just kind of telling guys like, yo, you need to become the top percentage of men, because the way that the dating's going, back in the day, every guy was like, in a sense, value. He had value. He had a job. Savannah, he has a job. Like, he's a good man.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like, and that's a lot of girls' points is that, oh, we just have higher standards now because girls can work and
because they make more money.
And now, like, you can't just bring your income to the table, which it's a portion of it, but I don't really think that's the full reason. I do think, like I said, it's a little bit more than the fact that like guys used to just provide their income. I think guys could get away with a lot of like doing pretty much nothing and being horrible people because women physically couldn't work, or when they could, like they made dramatically less than men. But like right now, I wouldn't say that's a large majority.
Well, in the beginning stages of like when you're 18 to like really 26, women on average make more than men, because women are completing school and college educations at a higher rate. But I would say that the ambition for men to like get more money, like that's why you have more millionaires as men, more billionaires as men, because once you put in a lot of tenure, the girls get pregnant, they stop, they chill out.
Yeah.
Like there are so many girls that worked in my financial firm and they were 21. They're like, I want to make money like you. And then 4 years later, they're like, I am tired of working. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be at home. I want to relax. I just want a man that can take care of me. And I think for guys, it just becomes like a process.
Yeah, I'm like obsessed. I would actually, I hate not working.
Me too.
And stuff. I feel useless. I'm like, I like literally like all I need is the 2 days on the weekends off. And like, of course, like, there's always something else, but like, I feel so useless. Like when I remember like for like the 3 weeks before, like when I was training and getting my license and everything, and I wasn't working, I was like, dude, like, I felt like such a bum. Like I could never just stay at home. That's my point.
I don't like sitting on the beach and sipping a margarita. Like that's not me. And there's people that are like, what are you talking about? Oh, you're in Miami. You're probably relaxing and this, that, and third. I'm like, dude, like I work all the time. And this is not even about me. I think like a lot of guys are like that. But here's the thing, right? They do have higher standards now. Young girls like, okay, I make money. And that's why like my heart goes out to all the guys that are 18 to 26 because the dating market is brutal.
Yeah.
It is
because you're competing with everybody, and that's. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, like I said, they're not even being delusional, because a lot of these girls, especially if they're very attractive, they really do. I've seen it. They really do get, some of these, offers, whether it's from celebrities or just in general. Like they do have a lot of options, but like you said, that they can't distinguish the difference between somebody who's just looking for something casual and then somebody who actually likes
small town girls too. Cleveland, Ohio is where I did a lot of my work. I've been in Cleveland for the past 8 years, and girls, like celebrities and athletes and stuff like that will DM these girls from these smaller cities, like that live in Miami, big cities, because their egos are typically lower, their standards are typically lower. We walk out, there's Ferraris, Lambos everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a Ferrari, dude, I don't even know if there's a Ferrari on the street in Cleveland. Like you're breaking your neck for that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you drive a nice C300 Benz in Cleveland, bro. I'm not trying to paint Cleveland a bad way, but like people are like, yo, that's a nice car. Like, you know what I mean?
Same. Even when I went back, when I did, I'm not on dating apps anymore, but when I was on dating apps, like the difference of using them like in upstate New York versus here, it was like crazy, because like you're like treated like a celebrity over there, but because nobody puts in a lot of effort. And then here it's like very competitive, so you got to compete a little bit more. But yeah, that's like going to a smaller city. But that's why you sometimes meet a lot of the guys who have had long-term relationships. A lot of them, they meet them in like small towns like North Carolina.
They're better, in my opinion, because I don't want to say their standards are lower, but they're more down to earth. Like it's like the same thing. It sounds bad, but like this is not real life. Like where I like live and stuff like that. But like for the guys that are 18 to 26, my message to them, and I want to hear what yours is like just try to become as best as you can. Try to, in every aspect, but financially, you can't compete at that level. Like when I was 21, I was making like $72,000, and I thought I was God. Like I was like making this so much money, but in reality, it wasn't a lot to a lot of girls, and it wasn't crazy, and it was like a lot to me. And you bring that to Miami, dude. Like people would argue you can't even live off that here in a downtown area. But the point is, it's like I always push guys like the desire for women. The desire for women, it's getting smaller, right? It's like the 5%, 10%. It's shrinking. Like women, the people always talk about the top 1%. Like women want that. I have given up in a sense, trying to convince like, hey, there's a lot of good guys that are right near that are wonderful, that will eventually get there, because guys are going to naturally increase their income as they get older. And so it's better to pick those guys. Women don't even care anymore.
Well, I think they have eventually, I think reality will set in. And I think...
but at that point, what happens?
Yeah, they're gonna be probably less. They're gonna get a worse option, because I think they're gonna wait too long, and then they're not gonna be. Depends on how they take care of themselves, but they're not gonna be as physically desirable and stuff. But the reality is, eventually they do end up having to come to terms with reality. And I get it. Like, I could imagine, like you said, if I was the one getting all these messages, you don't want to cave. But yeah, I mean, the message I would say to the guys is like exactly what you said. I mean, don't think of this in an insecure way, like, you know, but change what you physically have control over. I know it sucks that, like, you know, yes, like, try to get in as good a shape as you can, try to make as much money as you possibly can, and learn, look at, to me, this is really what I did. I would like look at guys. I remember when I was in high school and like early college that I saw getting girls, and like, or just in general, like, that were doing well in certain environments, and I was like pinpointing like why they were doing well. I was like, oh, like, he's really funny, or oh, I like his build, like I like the way he's dressed, like, and take notes and then figure out what you could do. It's not like an insecure thing to sit there and go, you know, maybe I could lose some weight, or maybe I could do this. Like, I know it's probably like hurts to hear, but like, I'm telling you, it hurts worse when you realize it when you're like 40 something and you're like, damn, like, what am I
It hurts to hear it from a woman saying, you're not this, you're not that, you're whatever it may be. And yeah, I mean, like, I would definitely say get in shape, because younger girls care a lot more about physicality and looks, like, than men really.
And I'm not saying you need to be, you know, the next NPC bodybuilder, but I'm just saying, like, you know, if you're, you know, super skinny or heavily overweight, like, you know, it would definitely help getting in better shape.
But the standard is going up. Like, okay, so let me talk about this. Like, a lot of girls are getting surgery nowadays. Like, plastic surgery back in the day was considered disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting plastic surgery. Also, it wasn't as good, so it looked different. Now, sometimes you can't even tell if a girl has a BBL. Like, they get mini BBLs. They get like small work. Like, they get their fat, their chin sucked out. And I'm like, dude, like, this is amazing, and it's also scary at the same time. And the standard of what looks are is evolving. And for men, I think for the first time ever, I'm seeing it for guys, because now, like, there's a lot of influencers that have broken the barrier about steroid use. Yeah. And we talk a lot about steroids on social media, and like, dude, a lot of guys are on performance enhancing drugs right now. Like, dude, half this building that I'm in right now, steroids.
I trust me. That's the space I'm in and stuff. So I mean, and that's the thing, is that we don't have a thing that we could do. Like, there's no surgeries as of right now that men could do. So they're trying to keep up, and that's the thing. A lot of dudes that take stuff too, you probably wouldn't even really know. And most people are on it, and then like there's some that are clearly on it, and then, you know, like most people are on something, you know, but like, it's dudes just trying to keep up. I mean, especially down here, like it's super common.
Here. Dude, it's insane. Like, I've been on FaceTime calls talking to someone for the first time, they're injecting. I'm like, dude, that's like, I would never think this would happen, because it was such a taboo thing back in the day. Now you have influencers, not going to name drop any person, but like, hey, this is cool, this is awesome, this is great. And like, it's very bad for your health.
Yeah.
But I feel like for a lot of young guys message me like, I'm not winning in relationships, I'm struggling. And to be honest, it sounds bad, like I feel like I failed them. But like, you got to get as good as you can to compete. You've got to make money. You've got to look good. It's like the standard is so much higher. But if you get that, though, you can get anybody you want.
And that's what it's even for me, like, I remember, like, and I'm not saying it always has to be like this, but I had to be like, before I really started to peak, like, I was super isolated for like 2 years. And I just don't think a lot of people can do that. I think everyone will turn back to like whatever put them there in the first place. So like, let's say somebody knows like they need to get in better shape. They can't just like not go out or eat fast food anymore. Like, they get so lonely and depressed over, like, you know.
So how do you do that? Yeah, the isolation.
It's tough. You need to, like, for me, luckily I enjoyed making YouTube videos, and I did have a lot. I, you know, naturally just liked the gym. I didn't understand, you know, as much as I do now at the time, but at least it gave me some form of socialization. And even making my videos, like, you know, I would make like my YouTube videos knowing like, this is not going to get any views, but like, it just gave me something to do. And I knew that hopefully down the road it would pay off.
What about the people that are like, because I love what you're saying about isolation. It's just that one thing I've noticed is a lot of people just can't do it.
They can't. That's where everyone fails, because they go back to, like, let's say they drank, let's say they like to go out. Let's say it was just a group of, you know, a girlfriend or something that was toxic. They always go back because they can't handle it.
They're bored. Boredom, I think, is like, I love doing insurance. We both do insurance, and I love it because it's boring. And it's weird because the things that are going to make you the most money, like are technically the most boring things or the most difficult thing to do. And technically for human beings, because we're so stimulation based, the hardest things in the world are not necessarily physically hard. They're not necessarily like, in a sense, difficult by like complexity. They're difficult because they're boring. They're difficult because they have a low level stimulation. So finance, the financial services industry, makes more millionaires and billionaires than any other industry out there. And when I tell people, I do insurance or like all the stuff and plan A, plan B, the prescription drug plan, like blah blah blah, dude, they're like, they just want to like, I don't want to do that. Like I'd rather work at a restaurant. I'd rather be a marine biologist and study animals. And that's like a thing. Like, so boredom is the biggest thing. And being by yourself in today's society where we're in social media and we sit on our phones and we see this guy drives a Ferrari at 20 years old. How do you like isolate?
It's you have to find, like, the reason why, like I said, you have to find something that does give you a little bit of hope. Like I tried everything, like even before I found the job that I had now, like I was trying, and I remember I had a friend that I was trying to help him. Like he was trying to move down, to Florida, and I was going to, help him and do all this stuff. But like he was 3-4 years older than me. And I was telling him how, like, personally, like, I was like, dude, I'm just not seeing, like, he didn't work for like a year and he just wasn't doing anything. He was staying at home. And I was like, I don't think you understand. Like, listen, I'm not saying I'm Jeff Bezos over here, but even all of the things that I tried, I go, even something as simple as that I was uploading my YouTube videos every day. I tried, drop shipping. I tried doing Etsy, print on demand. I tried every little hack there was. And anytime I had free time, I'm watching editing tutorials and this. My whole point was that, like, you can see that in my free time, I was trying and like he wasn't. And then eventually something else completely different paid off. But my whole point is you need to find something that gives you hope. And I genuinely like the fact that with content creating and all this other stuff is there's no like expiration date. Like a lot of my friends in high school, they wanted to be professional football player, soccer player, whatever it was. And you have an expiration date. If you're not a pro by 24, you're probably not going to make it, So I like the fact that I was like, listen, I'm not going to stop posting until something happens. I'll be 65 and I'll still be posting.
You know what's funny? The thing about content creation, I'll say, is that as long as you post consistently, you will eventually, just by the volume of what it is, on the platform, you will eventually become viral. And the videos that you don't have views on, like Jeff Bezos had an interview, speaking of Jeff, where he was driving his Honda, and like it didn't get views back in the day. It didn't get any views. And now that he's
Jeff Bezos,
that video has so many views. It's insane because they want to see, okay, how was he back in the day? Who was this guy? Even the old videos of Zuckerberg. And like people are like scrounging for like, where is the OG Elon Musk? And
that was the hope, is that I knew like eventually something, and I could tell, like, listen, I came from an editing background. I knew that I was like, listen, I knew I had something and I just had to work on a key couple things. But that's the thing. Some people, I feel like, dude, they don't know how to internally reflect. They do upload. Some of these people will upload, but they put such bare minimum effort in. They're using, their iPhone, and then they're not like scripting out their videos, and the editing's all weird. And then they do this and they never try to fix anything. They don't try to learn anything. They don't go watch editing tutorials. They don't learn how to use a camera. Mm-hmm. Like, it's things like that. That's what I'm saying. And you gotta put some effort in. I'm not saying, like, I don't know if you know Penguin Zero, but he uses a webcam to film everything. So you don't need everything. But I'm just saying, like,
his videos are good on a very niche level.
Yeah.
Because he can just dark humor.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He can overcompensate because he's so, funny and all this stuff. But like, that's what I'm saying. A lot of these people, like, you have to have a level of effort and stuff that you want to put in. And that's what I'm saying. I could tell.
Editing is easy nowadays, in my opinion, because, like, yes, there's more, like, the level of editing that can be done now on a computer is insane. But even if you have like CapCut or just like a template.
Yeah, CapCut's very good.
Or if you even like TikTok itself or like Instagram, the editing platform internally is miles ahead of what it used to be on. Like the phone, we had 1.3 megapixel cameras back in the day. Now we can literally trim, add audio, retouch, resize, add overlays, auto text. Auto text is crazy. AI text is crazy. Like, I mean, if someone is telling me like, oh, I don't know how to edit, like, dude, it's literally half of it
that's what I'm saying. So it's certain things that tick me off that I go, I know you're not trying. Like it's stuff like that. So when you tell me that stuff, that's how I know you're not trying, or like and stuff like so I don't even bother helping these people. So that's my whole point is you got to do something in your free time that gets your mind off of the fact that you are lonely and stuff. Having like I said, like me having I have a very good friend group, and like because I feel a very big sense of community from the fight gym that I'm at and all this stuff, like I never had that feeling of like I'm missing out on anything.
But do you feel like the isolation period is just for men, or is it like for women as well? Because like you talk about,
it's more common in men. I wouldn't say I would say it's definitely more common and stuff. It's way more common in men because at the end of the day, like like I said, a man is typically deemed more valuable based on what he provides, and typically when you're going through that lonely process, you don't provide that much at the time, so nobody cares about you. It's like a girl doesn't need to make a lot and can still have a lot of people who are very interested in hanging out with her, and then she could like get a sense of like somebody. That's why I would recommend too, whatever your vice is. That's why for me moving out of my hometown was.
What's your hometown?
New York, Long Island, and stuff. And
it's a nice area.
Yeah, like Queens, Long Island area, and like moving out of there was the smartest thing because all of my vices was things that I would run to back there. I didn't have anywhere here to like go and do anything. So like anytime I was isolated, there was nobody that I could go hang out with that would intrigue me to go do something because I didn't really know anybody and stuff like. So I was really forced to just like there was no other option. It was just go to work, and then whatever free time I had after, I had to figure out something to do. So I would like go YouTube, how to do this effect on editing, and I would sit there for 2 hours trying to teach myself because what else do I have to do? But I guarantee you, if I was back in New York, I would hit up some friend, say, let's go do this, let's go drink, and then I wouldn't have learned any of these things. So getting yourself out of the place, like especially if you're in a small town, just getting out, I'm telling you, it forces you. Changes your life. You have no choice because you have no choice, and you can't. If you're even thinking that I'll just move back, I'm telling you, then you're probably not ready.
I always say that, like, be a loser in your hometown, save as much money as you possibly can, isolate, and like if you isolate, one of the best things about isolating on a technical level is you don't spend money. Like if you are by yourself at home, watching YouTube videos, learning, especially if like you're a guy and you don't have a girlfriend. Girls, unfortunately, and I want to ask you this as well, they take your time, number one, because it's a relationship. It does for women as well. They take your energy. They take your money. It just is what it is. You have a girlfriend. You're buying something. I don't
know if you know John Cannon on TikTok.
Don't know him.
He said like, and it's true. Men spend money in relationships, women save money in relationships. It's so true, and that's the big thing too, is that there's a lot more financial risk and stuff for a guy too, is that you can sit there in a 2-year relationship, and especially if you paid for everything and like you're paying the rent, this, and then I don't know, you go through a breakup. She was able to save a lot of money by not paying rent and all this stuff,
and she gained experiences,
and then now like the relationship's over, she's got $70K in the bank that she saved and you got $5, because you've been paying for everything and you thought you guys were going to get married. So that's what I'm saying is there's things that a lot of people don't think about, that it's like
I always say this: active income is very important, making money, living below your means. I talk about living below your means quite a bit. I believe in not spending a lot of money. Saving money is making money, because my third part of my strategy is investing. I invest a lot of my money. I do a lot of trades. I swing trade. I do options. And if you can save more money and invest it, whether it's real estate, whether it's you're just holding an ETF or anything like that, you can start to get a level of passive income. And it can be small, but if your passive income can at least take care of a few bills, or it's like $1,400, $1,500 a month, that's your dating money, that's your lifestyle money, and then you can go. But let me ask you this. Do you think it's important for men to make money to become successful in the dating market today? And do you think that's becoming more of a need? Yeah,
I would say in general, it's definitely a need, but I wouldn't say it's a need because like necessarily it makes you valuable. It's a need because, like I said, it gives you freedom and stuff, like, having to financial stress and being financially independent is like the one of the most important things. I think it should be the main thing you focus on over dating. For me, I didn't even care about girls for 2-3 years until I was financially in a good spot, because like it just wasn't important to me. Like, and I knew I was going to get a lower quality person if I wasn't in a good financial place. But like you definitely have to be, but it depends on what what number that would be, because like I said, it depends on where you are. Like, you know, some numbers are a little bit more unrealistic, like thinking, you know, you may have to make 400, you know.
Women are luxuries, I think.
Yeah.
And you're dating a very attractive, I hate women. The car as the women example is bad, but like a beautiful woman is like a Ferrari, okay? Like, you're going to have to like attend to her. She's going to have higher standards. There's more men that are trying to talk to her. So her value in you is going to be comparative to all the men that are trying to talk to her and the options that she has.
Well, that's why me personally, and I hopefully this doesn't offend my future girlfriend.
Only date ugly women.
But no, I genuinely don't like. I normally like, and I can recognize, like, I instinctually recognize that a girl who's hyper attractive, like, that's a very pretty girl. But I understand what comes with that, and most of the time I'm not interested in that. Like, the same time, I could see a girl who, let's say, is a dancer at a club and go, wow, that girl's really pretty and her body's amazing, but I definitely am not interested in. And that's the kind of the same feeling I get in a similar way, where I can see a hyper attractive girl, but like you said, a lot of these guys, they date them almost as if they're dating. They have like a supercar, where I think it's to flaunt.
Yeah,
I think it's to flaunt
flex.
because guys know that she's expensive, and that's what I mean. Is a lot of these relationships to me seem like unspoken escort services.
I look at a girl's Instagram, and there's girl, like, especially in Miami, they're at every single country on a yacht, and I'm like, I cannot afford you, like, respectfully.
And that's what I'm saying.
It's
an unspoken service. I'd rather go for a girl that, like, to me, she's a pretty girl with a lot of hobbies, but she's not sitting there making the sole. You could tell that her sole value is her appearance and stuff. A lot of these girls, the same way. A guy who's really got it, if you took away most of his money, would he still be able to get girls? That's how you could tell, does he really have it? A girl who's really got it, if she's really that valuable, if we took away all the surgeries, this, or just whatever, we took away most of her looks, would you still want to hang out with her?
Yeah.
And if most of these guys, it would be a no. I'm telling you.
I always say, like, dating for looks is a very, very, very bad investment of your time, because it will fade. It will fade. And you're so caught in the temporary of maybe the next 5 years, she'll look like that, but it will fade. Whereas, like, and a lot of guys, like, I think that money is important for dating, because you date a high quality woman in her personality as well. She also, I think, fundamentally is going to get good options. Like, if a girl is chill, if a girl is nice, good personality, like, there's girls that I've talked to that weren't as objectively attractive as other girls, but their personality was A1, and I'm like, yo, you are awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and that's what I'm saying. It's especially for long-term dating. Especially down in South Florida, I've noticed that a lot of guys, I could tell they flaunt their girl, especially the guys that sell the courses and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
they put their
the girl's in it. She's the marketing mechanism.
They put their girl in photos the same way a guy takes a photo of a nice car, is because
100%.
They know that that's what she represents and stuff, and she represents, like, look how much money I have. This girl looks expensive. It's the core
selling mindset. I think like 5-7 years ago it was the McLaren and the Lambo. Now people are tired of that. And now they look at, like, actually, like, women, and, like, women are like an unspoken testimonial, especially if you have a very attractive girl.
Yes and no, but to me personally, like, again, I know it works clearly, because otherwise people wouldn't do it. But, like, I can tell in 10 seconds that I go, that girl would leave if you don't have money.
Yeah, 100%.
And vice versa, you would leave her if she was like 40 pounds heavier.
100%.
And stuff like it's not a real relationship. And like I said, none of these girls, to me, like, who are being flaunted like this, that you could tell that none of these people have hobbies. They like beers as being a symbolic, object
all
of, like,
for social media.
Yeah, like, and like, that's what I'm saying. I could recognize that that's a pretty girl, but still be, like, not interested and stuff. That's how I feel. It's like the same way, like, I'm sure the girls get the same thing as, like, it's almost like the feeling a girl will get when she sees, like, an attractive guy doing a thirst trap on TikTok. She's like, yeah, that's a good looking guy, but what the fuck, what is he doing?
Like, no,
why is he doing that?
Yeah.
And stuff. Like, that's how I feel. Is like, I'm like, yeah, good looking girl, but
what about for women? Do you think money is important for women to win in relationships?
It's obviously not as important, but me personally, like, I definitely, I do think less of, like, a girl who I could tell, to me, looked like she was just waiting for a man to come save her. Like, she didn't put, like, any work into, like, her career. And then it, to me, like, it kind of does make me think of, like, what, like, if you're 26, 27 years old, and then, you're not
doing anything.
You're like, I'm telling you, a lot of girls, I could tell, like, I think they really do feel like, well, I don't have to. Eventually, I'm going to meet a guy, and he's going to take care of all this stuff.
What about 50-50 relationships? Like, hot topic right now. Dude, hot topic probably, like, for the last 2 years. What do you think about 50-50 relationships, do you think that, like, I mean, open this door?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to on the first date, I've never, and listen, I've made a lot of videos about 50-50. I've never made a girl pay 50-50, but the reality is, the reason I don't do that is because it's not because I think she's a woman and I'm a man and I deserve to pay. It's because the same way if I was out with a friend and stuff like I would sit there and I might pay for my friend because like, you know, we're having a good night and I'm taking him or her out, like, and stuff. Like, I don't think of it as like I'm the man. Like, what annoys me is, like I said, when I see these videos of girls complaining about the, you know, or the thought of, like, I've seen one where they're like, oh, why would I move in with a man if he's going to make me pay 50-50? I'll just get a roommate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To me, I've never had a girl come move into my place. But I probably would. It depends on her income level. I don't think it's ridiculous. Like, I like to sit there if we make the exact same amount. Like, right, the last few girls I made more than, so it was like I didn't do that. But whatever she would make, we would basically put it into a separate account and use that for trips and stuff like that. And that was the mutual exchange because the disparity of our income was too different. But if she made the same, I would think that's dumb to sit there and go, well, why am I paying $3,000 a month?
What if you meet a girl and she made more than you? Like, what would your expectations of the relationship be? This is like.
I would probably pay for most things, but I would probably, in terms of like rent or something like that. If she was living with me, like I'd probably say, like, you know, yeah, we're either splitting, like, we're definitely gonna at least split this.
So you think it's good for girls, like, to be financially involved in the relationship? Because here's, like, okay, so I could go crazy with this, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. Here's a girl that makes, let's say, $100K more than you, hypothetically, right? And because she worked hard on her career, because she studied, because she did the right things, and she's just as attractive as a girl that made, you know, $100K less than you or whatever it may be, she now has to pay for the relationship. How is that? Like, a girl could say this.
Yes and no. It's not the fact. I mean, the other girl it's about equity. The other girl was technically equity-wise paying more because, let's say, metaphorically, that girl, she made $40K a year, and then I made her, you know, put $1,000, you know, a month for trips and stuff like that. Equity-wise, she was putting more. You know, $1,500 a month. If you made $400,000 a year, it's not that really big of a deal. I mean, equity-wise, you know, it's not hurting you and stuff. So I would argue, like, and to me, you as a girl, I know we have like this honeymoon thing. I think it's so funny because, like I said, they have all these negative thoughts about men when they're like, oh, I can't go on a coffee date, this. You should want to be, in some sense, financially invested in the relationship because that's how a lot of women get taken advantage of in relationships. This is how you hear a lot of women who are in these domestic abuse situations or whatever. It's because they're financially reliant on the guy, and then they want to get out and they can't because he pays all the bills. They don't even know how to pay a mortgage. They don't know how to pay, like, their car is in his name. Like, it's not a good thing.
So you push for women to. Because there's guys that have the opposite take, right?
And because I think a lot of guys, they like the control.
Because they want women to be more traditional. And I think that, like, there's a whole world on that as well where, like even me, in some senses, I feel like I might come off like that because my mom was a single mother. My mom worked so hard to provide for me. And I'm very grateful that she had the opportunity to work. And we live in a generation today where women can work and make money.
Yeah.
And I, like, basically retired my mom. She's been retired in a sense. Because I never want to see her work again because it hurt me to see my mom work. And if I had a girl in my life, I would probably want to provide for her and take care of her. Number one, basically because I'm in the financial situation I'm in. It really just comes down to that.
And that's the thing. It depends. If I was making an absurd amount, no, I don't care and stuff. But until me, like, I would have to be making $500K or more, or 400. I would say 450 or more. Until I would say, like, you don't have to worry about anything.
I was in a relationship a long time ago, like way back when I was like 20. And the girl I dated was older than me by a good amount. And she took care of me. Like, she helped me out with a lot of bills. She would help me with things. And she, like, I felt like she like invested in the relationship. And I just wasn't making that much money at the time. And I would always, like, be like, why are you dating me? Like, I can't do anything for you. I can't even, like, take you on a date. Like, I feel really bad. She's like, one day you're going to get it. One day you're going to have it. And that's fine. I'll take care of me then. Get me whatever I want then. And, like, I really respected that relationship. I really respected her because it, like, was it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it was like a lot of love. Like when a girl,
yeah.
And I've also dated girls that have not paid for anything. You know, I've been in a good financial situation for a good amount of time, and every relationship I've been in, I've pretty much taken care of things. You know what I mean? Girls have got me Christmas gifts and stuff like that, but it's never been like a dinner that, you know.
And that's what I'm saying. For the most part, I've always paid. And stuff. I think the only time I would walk out and make a girl pay is if she said something like super offensive or crazy on the date, and even that I'd probably just sneak away from the bathroom and be like, I'm out of here. But like the truth is, like, you know, if I was making an absurd amount, because like you said, then money is no big deal. But even right now, like, you know, 200K, you know, 20 years ago, that would have been like great. I would have been set. Now that's good, but if you sit there and blow it, like, you can blow that easily. And stuff, you could blow that easily. That's not an absurd amount. And like I said, it depends. If this was a woman I really thought I was going to marry, whatever, then it's not that big of a deal. But in the beginning stages, like I said, if I sat there and paid for everything, we made the same amount for like two years, and then I don't know.
Well, on a technical level, it's a very bad situation for you. It's very bad. So you believe in equity. I wouldn't say 50-50, but it's like equitizing.
Yeah, I mean, it's very situational. Like I said, if I met somebody who's making more, unless I was making like an absurd amount, I'd probably still pay for it, because again, like, that's my whole point. Like what you said with the coffee dates is, then money has no value to you at that point, so it doesn't really matter. I'll just pay for it because I want to pay for it.
So the more money women are like this too. I've heard this a million times. I want a man that's making just as much as me, if not more. So I always say, like, not that this is like a thing that you should avoid, but when you make more money as a woman, your options go down.
Yeah.
Because, and when you make more money as a man, your options go up.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's true?
It's definitely true. I mean, because it's of course, if you want somebody who makes the same amount as you and you make a lot of money, the thing is, the reason why it goes up is because for a guy is because they're pretty much willing to not have the same standards, where they don't care about really how much a girl makes, as long as she's, you know, fits the personality type that you're looking for. But like, I mean, again, it depends. I think it depends on
because it's a gray area right now. Because one aspect of it is, if she's not doing what she needs to be doing, she's not focused on her career, she's not doing things like that. Like, I would say, like, you're not doing anything. You're just literally waiting for, like, there are girls that live in the city that live paycheck to paycheck, man to man. I would even say it's not paycheck to paycheck. They literally wait for men to take them out. They don't have anything to eat. They hit up a guy. Like, literally, it's like no cap. This exists here. It's crazy. I've never seen that. I know. And I'm getting normalized to it, and I'm like,
there's apps. Like, I knew a girl that she just travels in a van, and she uses an app like where, you know, she basically puts in her request, and she just like can go to people's tables, and they give her food, and like,
that's how she lives her life, and it's an experience, and she lives her life in experiences. But so there's that aspect of it where I look at it negatively, and then there's the other aspect of it. If a girl's making a lot more money, she becomes so picky in the dating market. Like, I had this client of mine. It was a girl. She made $12 million a year, and she was like, I cannot find a guy. And like, she's like, I can't even find, like, I don't even need him to make more than me. Like, she owned this company. They would print labels for medicinal marijuana. Like, made a ton of money. She made a ton of money on her company. Okay, and she had just started making a lot of money too. So she was like looking for men that were like on her level, and she could not find a guy. And I'm like, man, like that sucks, because she's like, I'm looking for a guy that just makes like $1 million. And in her mind, it was a very reasonable request. Like, I make way more. I make 10 times more than that. And I'm just looking for a guy that makes $1 million. And she had like the receipts too, which was insane.
Yeah.
Like, she made the money, you know? And like, I just like, man, like, you're making so much that you're turning off yourself to like everything. That's also a bad thing. So I guess like the solution is like, where is a gray area for women? Like, is it to make more? Is it to make less?
It's compromise. I would say it's make as much as you want to make, but the reality is, like, again, if you're making 12 million, and again, you got to keep in mind, if you want a guy who makes $12 million or even $1 million a year, you like you said, that guy's going to have a lot of options too. Tons. So if this is an older woman, I assume if she's making 12 million,
she's like 35.
And so, so she's got to compete with, 23, 24, 25-year-olds. Yeah. So I'm not, it's going to be tough. You have to be realistic. So you got to factor in, you're killing it in this one area, but you're also like, now if you want a guy who makes $1 million, as much as that's not that much to you, you make 12 million, that's a very much an above average man. So
your message is very consistent. It's all about women being realistic. Like, even if you're making 12 million, even if you're making 30,000,
because it's no different. Like, you got to understand that and it's going to sound offensive because I'm not saying as you get older that you're necessarily deteriorating, but I'm just saying as you get older,
I would say so.
Everybody is
Men
normally more. You typically are, going to have the most options when you're in your early 20s and
100%.
stuff. And so, I would say mostly in this case, mostly women, but like, it does even happen for men. If you let go of yourself, you're probably more physically in shape or something. A lot of these guys are, their early 20s and stuff, but like you have to be realistic and understand that's great that you're making 12 million and you don't mind a guy that makes $1 million, but that guy still is going to have a ton of options, especially a 35-year-old guy that's making $1 million. Like he's going to be able to be getting with 23, 24, 25-year-olds and stuff like
anybody he wants.
And so what are you going to do to stand out? Cause he doesn't need money. I know to you have 12 million. He doesn't need that like and stuff. So you have to understand, like logically thinking again, well, what does this guy need? And even that I would argue, I guess that yes, you want a guy to be successful, but why do you even need a guy that makes $1 million? Because you have money and stuff. You have money.
Her reasoning was she wants the same level of ambition and drive, and she wants to be with a partner that like she can look at as a leader, and she wants a man.
Yeah, and
the answer is not a bad answer in theory.
Because I agree with that. I same thing. I need somebody who's like very, very ambitious as well. But like you can be ambitious and make
300K, 400K. Yeah. Like I would say that like that's the thing. Like I think guys that make like $500,000, like there are guys that make 50 mil. There's guys that make $500,000. I would still say that the ambition level could be the same because there are certain industries. Like
that's what I was gonna say. It depends on the industry.
Financial industries, we make more
than like a guy who's in automotive or something like that. Yes. Like that's what I'm saying. Like. That's why it's a gray area. And like I said, I think if she met a guy who made 400K and then she was like, oh, like, and then she, learned about an industry or just something, let's say it was more creative. Like I've had people where they made nothing, but they were like very talented, like singers or like,
they worked a lot. They worked hard.
And then I was very impressed by that and stuff, and so I think, like you said, if you had a real human in front of you and then like got to know and you were like, oh, this isn't that bad. I think, like you said, you picture like worst case scenario in your head. You picture like somebody you're going to see and you're like, going to have like no respect for them. But in reality, like I said, if you met a real person who you got along with and they go, oh yeah, I own 2 of these car dealerships over here and maybe makes 500K. I guarantee you, like she'd compromise. But you, and again, eventually you hit a point where you have no chance but to look at reality.
Yeah.
Eventually after a couple of years of being alone or having these negative dating experiences, you go, all right, maybe I gotta compromise.
Chill out. And it's hard because a lot of women are like, I'd rather just settle or be single for the rest of my life. And
I think, and again, I think everyone says that, but they
don't feel it.
It's not true. Eventually, especially let's say they have 1 or 2 friends that are keeping them company, but then that one friend that they thought were also going to be single finds a boyfriend and then they're alone. And then eventually it hits them like, all right, I got to compromise. I'm telling you, everyone says that because I don't think they realize, like you said, the difficulty of really being alone. Like, I don't think people get it. I think they think it's not going to be that bad. Yeah. And it just makes you angrier. That's how like women who hate men or men who hate women, a lot of the times it comes from years and years of isolation. And
it's a lot of the women that taught, like a lot of the big dog social media creators that are women that are like pushing this narrative, like you don't need to be with man. Be like, I know a girl personally, she has a massive social media following. She's like, fuck men. Like men are trash, that, use men kind of mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like, she obviously likes guys. She's obviously straight. She wants to be with men, but her entire narrative is that because of the pain that she has, she's over 30. She hasn't had success in her dating life, and it's like misery loves company. That's one thing. But I guess let me ask you this. I'll preface it with this: the largest demographic of people that use antidepressants are single women over 40.
Yeah,
there is a fact to this, and it could be highly correlation, but like it's the truth. What advice do you have for women that are over 30 that feel like they're losing their luster?
I would say
this is going to be dark truth here.
Yeah, I would say it's not that. It's that at the end of the day, they have to come to terms with the fact that, like you said, you're not going to get somebody who's checking every single one of the boxes that you're going to want. And I think, like you said, a lot of these women grow very angry and resentful that it's not working out, and then it gets worse and it gets worse. And I think a lot of these women, have a very similar philosophy, as crazy as it sounds, as like what racist people use to justify racism. They say, well, I've had a bunch of negative experiences with this demographic, so screw them, fuck them.
Yes.
And that's what racist people do. They go, well, I grew up in this neighborhood, and people who look like this, they're all criminals. That's exactly what they do. You're making a broad generalization off of 6 to 7 bad dating experiences that you had in your early 20s and stuff. The reality is, once you don't realize the vicious cycle, when you're angry and you're upset all the time, nobody wants to be around you and stuff. So then you feel more rejected, and it gets worse because now nobody wants to be around you because you're presenting angry, you're presenting bitter. So like, you have to come into things like, and it's so hard to teach somebody to like, not be bitter, but like you have to like
it's almost impossible certain times. I would say it's sad because what happens is this. Women that have had a lot of relationships, typically there is trauma in those relationships because they haven't worked out. Every relationship, I think, that doesn't work out can teach you something, and there's benefits that you can take from it. But when you have a lot of relationships, I think, generally speaking, men can grow from it, and women can typically break down, especially if they're very bad. There's some relationships that can definitely break a guy down too. But when a girl has a lot of relationships, a lot of trauma, she's older, which means that the biggest thing that men look for first, the primary thing, is attraction. He has to be attracted to you. Doesn't mean that you need to be a supermodel, but he has to be on a general level attracted to you. And you have to be attractive compared to the options that are in the market. And so when they get older, they lose that. They have more trauma. They're pickier too. Women that I talk to that are, they're older, they have standards for themselves.
Yeah.
And they're more, you take an 18-year-old girl to the Cheesecake Factory, she's going to be like, wow, this is cool, right? Because they haven't experienced a lot of life. They haven't really seen a lot of things. And that's not saying that she deserves that. Maybe she deserves more. You take a 28-year-old girl. She's like, all right, when are our reservations? Like, it should be a nicer place, whatever it may be. There's a standard that's there. I don't think a lot of girls that are 28 want to go grab a burger with you at McDonald's. Whereas,
and they're in a rush too. A lot of these women, especially,
they're pressured.
They especially women who want children too.
Yeah.
They're like very in a rush because they're like I need an answer. I need an answer. Like, what's going on? And yeah, I think a lot of it is like they said, they have a lot of negative experiences, but it's the same, it's a bad example, but like, it's the same thing in sales. If you had like 4 bad phone calls in a row, and then you get on that 5th one and you're giving an attitude the moment the phone call starts,
energy,
then the guy's going to hang up, and then you're going to be, oh, these calls suck. It's the same thing.
I got to make money today.
Like it's the same thing. I don't like, I've met people where like, I'm like, just talking, I could tell like they're coming up with such hostility because of like the last 2 guys who have spoken to them, and I'm like, geez, like, but like, yeah, I mean, you have to let go of the fact that like, those were personal experiences. You might have met bad men, I don't know. Like, same thing as like, these guys who think all women are gold diggers and this, it could be where you live. It could be the things you're posting on Instagram, the way you present.
It's probably the way you lead. It's 99% of the time when guys say women are gold diggers, first and foremost, I say all girls like guys with money, because men that are financially stable, like, not like you have to be a millionaire. They want a guy that's doing something, but it's how the guy leads the first interaction. If you start talking about money right away with a girl.
I had a friend that did that, and I could tell, like, dude, I knew, because he was very obviously very insecure about him, like, with girls. And like in the beginning, because he was the one that got me my job, he was the opposite. He didn't make a lot of money, so then he would tell girls on dates, "Oh, you're a woman, so like you can split it, right?" And then when he got his job and he was making a lot of money, he was the opposite. He was trying to like win him over with his money. He's like, "Don't you worry, be ready at 8. I'm going to take care of everything. You just look." And then he was like shocked that like, I'm like, what kind of girl do you think you're going to get, like, speaking to her like that? Like, even though like some of them would say yes, it's like, what kind of girl do you think is going to be like excited when you're saying like, "Be ready, I'm going to pay for everything." I'm like, you're going to get.
It's on social media too. So like, we're in the sales industry. I post a lot of nice things. I post a lot of my nice stuff to show people like, this is what this job can get you. This is what this career can give you. And because we have an agency, we're always interested in hiring people and bringing people on into commission sales positions to grow our agency's distribution. So the biggest thing that I attract on social media, outside of all the stuff that I do, like people ask me, oh, you must get a lot of girls on social media. Like, first off, for the podcast and everyone listening, not a PR statement. I don't really, like, I'm not out here like that. But number two, I get a lot of women that think that I'm popping bottles, I'm driving the cars, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it's bad. Like, and it's like, it's an indirect way that I guess I lead on social media, and that's why I would say, unfortunately, in the situation I'm in, my career is more important. I attract a lot of women that are like that. But in person, if I meet a girl at Whole Foods or whatever it is, I'm never going to be like, let me check the time on my, people think this is, I get a lot of compliments that this is a nice AP. This is a Casio G-Shock. Yeah. But it has the AP face.
I have an AP that's moissanite and stuff, and I always wear it. But the same thing, like on mine, because I look like a gym douchebag, and then everybody, like when they meet me in real life, they're like, "Oh, your personality is like way different," and stuff. But that, and that's why on TikTok was the first time I don't really even discuss a lot of gym stuff on there. I just like doing my rants, and then on Instagram I do more gym stuff, and then the people who followed me on Instagram, they're like so shocked that like I like to debate and I do this other stuff. But and it's the same thing. Like I could tell a lot of the girls who did reach out to me, I could tell them like it's because of how I present on social media. I could tell the kind of people who
probably into fitness,
but because I looked very, I think they assumed my personality.
You look like an asshole.
You're
tatted up. You're punching people.
They think I'm gonna have the huge ego. This, and then when I don't, like, and then most people, I would say 99% are like relieved, like, but I've had a few people like disappointed. I think they wanted that like tough, like super like cocky, and then when I wasn't that, they were like disappointed. I could tell like I went on this one date with this girl, I could tell like she was like she wanted me to be like more serious and like not, and like she was like, yeah, your personality is so different than like what I expected. And I was like, oh yeah, like I mean I have a whole TikTok page where I talk. I was like, you couldn't. She was like, oh, I didn't watch, like I just looked at your Instagram and stuff. But like most people are like pleasantly surprised because it's like the opposite. I feel like everyone like has
most girls are unhappy with my stuff, because when I like, if you really look at my life, like you look at my closet, you look at like the things I wear, you look at like how I live, I have certain things that are very nice for business, like this place, certain cars I drive, they're for business, and I'm always big on cash flowing and being smart about business. And when girls see that, they're almost like, even though it's a very good thing logically, they expect me to be like, what's it? I don't care. Like, just give me the check. Like, they expect me to not look at the price and just swipe the card and, be a maybe that's attractive to a lot of girls. Like, okay, this guy has money, this guy's power, this guy's influence. But I always think the people that get in those positions are very careful. They're very meticulous. If you look at like guys like Warren Buffett, you don't have to be that extreme, but like he lives in like he's not in a billionaire's mansion. Like, you know what I mean? A simple life. Same thing with Jeff Bezos. The dude's net worth was $1 billion, driving an old Honda. Like, I love stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying is, I mean, overall, like I don't need anything. I don't need anything too crazy, like this is like I'm comfortable with just slightly above average, but like I don't need anything too like exceptional. But when it comes to like living out here, I mean, you have to.
South Florida is a different atmosphere. Let me ask you this to wrap up here: where do you think the dating market is failing today?
I think as direct as it might sound, I think we both just hate each other. I think both sides has so many issues, and they've divided us so much that like we can't compromise on either side. Like, so many men just are so over all of the requests from women, and so many women hate men because of, rightfully so, a lot of past things that a lot of men have done. And listen, I don't deny that, like, when I see some of these horrific stories, that like I'm like what's going through a lot of these, but like grouping like I said, all men into something that less than 1% of men are doing is not going to benefit.
What do you say about like the guys that step out of the dating market completely?
I get it. I mean that's what I said. I in some sense I kind of did that. But, I stopped being the initiator in some sense. But, I understand why, because a lot of men, and here's the thing, they, the whole male loneliness epidemic, I don't believe a lot of men are necessarily even like actually lonely. I think what it's referring to is even men who are in relationships, I think they still feel lonely because they don't feel valued by the partner. 100%. I think they might even be married. They might even have a girlfriend, but they don't feel valued because they know that this girl's like walking all over them because, you know, the girl's never satisfied.
Most of the girls that are in like the adult sex industry, like OnlyFans and stuff like that, they have these things called chatters on the back end. So like it's like a girl doing content and they have and it's like therapy. It's like that's what they want. They're like, my wife, like the biggest scripts I've seen. I consulted for like an OnlyFans agency a while back. I own a marketing agency as well. And we helped plug in the chatters and we were like looking at scripts for this. And the number one script that works is like, wow, like I really admire you. Like I bet your wife really, it's like creating doubt. Like I bet your wife appreciates you. This is like dark stuff here. But that's what like men resonate with. It's not like the sexual talk. It's not like, oh baby, you're so hot. It's like feeling valued. It's feeling
I'm telling you, and there's a quote. It really is true. I'm telling you, a guy would rather go to a place. It could be the most like bum bar in his like hometown bar in his area where everyone treats him like a god, then go home to his like mansion where his wife just yells at him and disrespects him. That's really all it is. I think a lot of like when I stitch these videos, a lot of girls think like I'm just completely dismissing the fact that bad men and all this stuff exists, but like they're in some sense you're holding. You know, there was a guy that used a good metaphor. It's like if a guy walks up to a girl and then slaps her, and then she slaps me because I'm a man and stuff. It's like, I didn't do that to you and stuff. Like I understand, but like you're taking out all of your energy and stuff. And like we there's just like no compromise. So a lot of these men, like they're checking out because even when they are in a relationship, they're just not getting anything out of it. I can have respect for people that I wouldn't date, but still at the same time, like I said, I personally, and it depends on the situation, I would be like, well, what have you been doing the last, like, 100%. It depends, like, again, but if like they sit there, they go, oh, well, I dropped out of school and then I just been, I don't know, I was door dashing.
But generalistically, society, would you agree, would not even bat?
Yeah, for sure. Most.
If a girl doesn't have a car, we're not looking at her generally in society. We're not saying,
nobody cares.
You're a loser. Yeah,
nobody cares.
Guy,
that's what I'm saying. That's why I said, like, I genuinely, like, I hold, as crazy as it sounds, I have the same standards really that I would probably have for like just anybody else. Like I don't, like, for the friends that I have, like, I don't want a girl that, like, you know, while I've been putting myself in the best financial position, making good decisions, like taking risks, and then I meet this girl who's the same age as me, and then to me, like, sometimes it really just looked like they were just waiting for a boyfriend to come and fix everything. That's what it looks like sometimes. So, like I said, it doesn't make me necessarily think that I think they're a bad person, but like I just think like necessarily, you know, hey, I want to see that you've been trying to put yourself in the same circles that I have, and I've been like taking risks, like, you know, once I'm out of work, I go directly to go to the gym, and then I work on this. Like, I just don't really have a lot of like sympathy for people who, you know, they're like, oh, I go to work and then I go home and then I watch this, and I'm sorry, I'm just not going to relate to something like that. Like, I would never be able to do that.
You want the effort there. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
Santi the Wiz, Santiago, eyebrows. I'm going to link all his stuff down below. Appreciate you being on, man.
Of course, I appreciate it.
Basani Pod, subscribe, follow. We're out.